चलिए ये वाला ठीक है। ये है 0620 और समर 22 है, ठीक है। सो ये वाला पेपर करते हैं, स्टार्टिंग विद द फर्स्ट वन। which gases will diffuse at the same rate? बल्कि तेजी से करते हैं, which gases will diffuse at the same rate? क्या रूल होता है? व्हाट्स द रूल फॉर डिफ्यूजन?
जो relative molecular जिसकी वो है mass कम है वो ज़्यादा fast diffuse करती है।
ठीक है, so if it's the same rate then they would be having the same mass, right? So which
Yes.
gases have exactly the same mass? I think it's going to be carbon monoxide and nitrogen, which is diatomic, so that's N2. So ये क्या होगा? That's 12 plus 16. Periodic table, that's 12 and the other one is 16. That is 28. N2 is 14 plus 14. And that is also 28. So B is the answer. Okay? Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes.
As a next one, a student measures the time taken for 2 grams of magnesium to dissolve in 50 cm³ of dilute sulfuric acid and measures the time. So which apparatus is essential to complete the experiment?
1,
Just
2,
stop
and
clock?
4.
The multiple, na? Do you need a
You
stop
need
clock?
yes.
Because you need to measure the time, right? Do you need a measuring cylinder?
Yes.
Because you need to measure the volume of the sulfuric acid. Do you need the thermometer?
No.
You don't need to measure the temperature. Do you need a balance? You do, because you need to measure the
Yes.
mass of. So
Yes.
it's going to be 1, 2, and 4, right? It's A.
So which paper is this?
This one is summer 22 question paper 2. Okay.
Okay.
So then you have the next one, which is once again. So now the next one is you've got a chromatogram, and which measurements are used to find RF values for T. T, I think, is this one. So what is RF value? What's the definition of RF value?
Distance moved by the substance over distance moved by the solvent.
Okay, so it's the distance moved by the substance or the dye divided by the distance that is moved by the solvent. So what is the distance moved by the dye?
Four.
Okay, and what's the distance moved by the solvent?
3.
See,
I mean, 1.
it's
Shouldn't it be 1?
No,
Because it's the solvent is from the bottom.
No, it's 3. Everything has to be measured from the baseline. Okay, not from the solvent. It's always from the baseline. So it's 3 and 4. Is that clear? This thing?
Yes.
Because this was where the dye was placed initially. As the next one, X and Y are 2 different elements. X and Y are the same number of, they have the same number of nucleons. Which statement about, so they're different elements, right? When 2 substances are different elements, so unke proton, neutrons, electrons, which thing is different? If I say 2 elements, they're 2 elements.
Proton.
Yes?
Proton.
Remember, elements will always have different protons. The proton number is unique to an element. Carbon is 6, so that means कि जितने मर्जी atom है ना दुनिया जहां में, carbon is always going to be 6 protons. Nitrogen would always be 7. Oxygen will always be 8. बाकी चीजें change हो सकती हैं. The proton is fixed. The proton is always going to be 6. The carbon atom could lose or gain electrons. Electrons can change. The carbon atom can have more neutrons, less electrons. That could change. But the proton number would always be 6. So क्या है फिर आंसर इसका? Do they have the same physical?
Is it C?
It's going to be C. Okay, they would probably be in different groups. Masses to unki same hai. They have the same number of nucleons. That's also known as the atomic mass. So everything else is kind of the same. The physical properties, we can't really predict what the physical properties are because we don't know what they are. But they're definitely in different groups. I said, which one is diamond? Diamond कौन सा? Silicon 4 oxide, which one is it? And graphite, which one is
Silicon
graphite?
4 oxide is P.
Yeah, that's SiO2. It's made up of two different elements. What is Q?
I think Q is diamond.
Okay, Q is diamond.
And then this is graphite.
Okay, so it's going to be C. I said next one. What dot and cross diagram shows the arrangement of outer shell electrons in a molecule of hydrogen chloride?
A, sir.
Okay, A has only one electron, C has 7 electrons. The equation for the reaction between barium chloride and dilute sulfuric acid is shown. Which way is correct? So the states, is this soluble or insoluble?
I think it's aqueous.
It's aqueous. ठीक है वो sheet खोलो किधर है वो notes acid basis sheet. Just a second. This one. So solubility table. Remember, chlorides are all soluble except for two of them, like silver and lead. They are not soluble. Otherwise, तो ये sheet है. तो यहाँ पे ना it's given solubility. So chlorides, all of them are soluble except for silver and lead. So that's aqueous. Sulfuric acid is an acid, it's aqueous. So basically A हो गया. Barium sulfate is insoluble. HCl is aqueous as well. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Sulfates का देख लो. Sulfates का क्या लिखा हुआ है कि all sulfate salts, ये वाला part, all sulfate salts are soluble except for lead sulfate, barium sulfate, and partially calcium sulfate as well. तो चलो अगला. 0.5 moles of methane reacts completely with 0.5 moles of steam. What is the volume of carbon dioxide monoxide? So 0.5 moles. Equation में क्या ratio? 1:1, right? So how much carbon monoxide and H2 will be produced?
Carbon monoxide will be 0.5. And H2O will be 1.5.
3 times ज़्यादा. ठीक है, it's 1:3, so that's 3 times more. So what is the volume of carbon monoxide produced at room temperatures? So how do you find the volume? क्या होता है formula?
Volume is moles over concentration.
Meaning, we are talking about gases over
Number of moles multiplied by molar volume.
here. Molar volume, so
So
that's
24 dm cube.
so 24 dm cube. So it's going to be 12 dm cube, right? What's the volume over here? That's 1.5 moles multiplied by 24. 36.
Yes.
Check that part. A group of element X has the formula X2O and a relative formula mass of 144. ठीक है. So what is X? The 144 कौन बनता है? You just have to open the periodic table, I think. Sulfur का देख लो. Is it 144 H2O? नहीं, sulfur तो नहीं बन रहा. Copper का देख लो. Copper is where's the periodic table? इसके end पे होगा. Copper कितना दिया हुआ है? Copper is given as 64. So I guess copper हो सकता है. Copper 64 times 2. बना कि नहीं बना?
Yes. Copper.
No sir, copper नहीं है. SD.
नहीं, 64 times 2 क्या होता है? 128 plus 16, that's exactly 144.
Yeah, पर जो हमारे पास D है टेलीरिडियम उसका भी जो वो है 128 होगा 1. हाँ, that's okay. I got it.
वो इसलिए उन्हें कंफ्यूजन दी हुई कि उसने कहा था फॉर्मूला ये है. तो वो that will become 128 times 2. So that will be a lot greater than this. अच्छा फिर electrochemical cell. नहीं, electrolysis, sorry. Battery होती है, that means it's electrolysis. So electrons are coming in, electrons are going back to the battery, coming in, going back to the battery. अच्छा क्या होगा NaCl में कौन से आयन्स होते हैं? NaCl में you've got Na+1 and you've got Cl-1, you've got H+1 and you got.
OH minus.
So who's going to gain electrons? The electrons are coming in. Who's going to gain them? Na+1 or H+1?
NH.
कौन गेन करता है इलेक्ट्रॉन? So reactor is K, NaCl, Mg, Al, Z and Fe. So you got Z and Fe, S and Pb. And then you have Cu. So the bottom में होता है reactor चीज, that is the one that gains electrons. So it's H. It's diatomic. So H+1 will gain 2 electrons and it will become H2 gas. दूसरी साइड पे कौन इलेक्ट्रॉन लूज करता है? It's ये सीरीज है I-1 Br-1.
Hale hydride, yes sir. The hale hydride.
कौन सा?
Hale hydride.
नहीं मुझे नहीं समझ रही क्या कह रहे हो?
Leave it sir.
अच्छा इधर कौन होगा? It's going to be OH, right? But if it's concentrated, then it's always Cl. और दूसरी साइड पे क्या होगा? Concentrated HCl. So now you've got acid, you got Cl-1, you got पानी से भी you're going to get H+1 and you're going to get OH-1. So you got this thing. Again, you're going to form H2 gas out of the concentrated, so that means Cl. So what is the answer? What's the correct answer?
A.
नहीं A तो नहीं है. हाइड्रोजन तो इलेक्ट्रोड 2 पे और इलेक्ट्रोड 3 पे 4 पे प्रोड्यूस हो रही है. कौन सा क्लियर है?
Yes.
अच्छा लेकिन ये क्लियर है ना कि I mean, is this part clear that in electrolysis you've got either the cathode पे you're going to use the list of reactor disease and the bottom one is going to gain electrons. Either the bottom one over here is going to gain electrons at anode. लेकिन अगर Cl-1 concentrated है तो it's always Cl-1. अच्छा अगला part diagram shows the electrolysis of copper to sulfate using inert electrodes, which shows the movement of electrons. तो B होगा क्योंकि that's the cathode. And ऐसे B होगा ना, right? Electrons come towards the cathode, right? Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes.
अच्छा, which one identifies a chemical change and a physical change? क्या आंसर है?
C.
C. The burning
B.
ethanol is B.
Oh no, yeah, B. Sorry.
When you burn ethanol, you get something else. Which statement explains why increasing the concentration of reaction? Why does concentration increases the rate of reaction?
B.
increases the collision. Yeah, particles gain energy, so they travel faster. It does not lower the activation energy. Activation energy कौन low करता है वैसे?
The temperature, I think.
The activation energy is the minimum energy that is needed to start a reaction, and that is only affected by catalyst. ठीक है, catalyst makes it easy क्योंकि हमेशा reaction होता है तो क्या होता है कि you have to break the old previous bonds, and you can only break the old previous bonds if you have energy. So there's a minimum energy that is needed at the start. So what a catalyst does is that it reduces that. और फिर ये
It
Yeah,
doesn't a catalyst increase the activation energy so that it can break faster?
no, it lowers the activation energy.
So the lower the activation energy, the faster the processor.
हाँ, क्योंकि
reactions.
less energy would be needed, right?
Oh, it lowers the energy needed. Okay,
It's a needed energy, right?
okay.
जैसा wood को burn करना है ना, why does wood burn if you break it into tiny pieces? Like you've got a big log, right? It's very hard to actually burn it, right? But if you break it into like really tiny matchsticks, it's a lot easier to burn it. Because when you're burning it, you're actually breaking the old bonds. तो अगर आप खुद से पहले से bond तोड़ दो, तो that reduces the amount of energy needed at the start. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes.
So there's a colorless gas N2O4, it forms a brown gas NO2. The reaction and mixture is cooled, the brown color fades and turns back to colorless. What type of reaction is described by these observations? किस तरह की observation है? कि there was N2O4.
Reversible?
It is a reversible reaction. It became NO2, he said it became brown. But then when he cooled it, it turned back to colorless. So that means the reaction is reversing. अच्छा, anhydrous copper sulfate. क्या होगा इसका? Anhydrous copper sulfate. What happens? Water is added. So what happens to it?
Blue to white, I think. It turns white
No,
and
it
gets
turns blue. ये यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है data sheet पे. ये colors है ना. Anhydrous is white. Without water, it's white. Hydrated, yani with water, it's actually blue in color. So what you're going to get is you're going to get a blue solution. So it turns blue. And B is the answer that it's an exothermic reaction. The solution becomes hotter over time because water molecules are bonding to the copper sulfate. ठीक है, is this clear?
yes.
The bond formation is always exothermic. Achha, which arrow on the energy level diagram shows the overall energy change for an endothermic reaction? कौन सा arrow है? Delta H, overall energy change.
B.
क्या ये? B. That's the next one. Hydrogen oxygen fuel cell is in operation, a different reaction. Actually, I had explained to you that a hydrogen oxygen fuel cell is that it has two cells. One in which electrons are produced. There's some random reaction and electrons are being produced. And there's another one where electrons are gained. So electrons that are lost at the hydrogen electrode travel through the external circuit to the oxygen electrode where they're gained by the oxygen and water. So a hydrogen oxygen fuel cell is operated for a period of time and 4 moles of oxygen are produced. What mass of hydrogen is consumed? So 4 moles. पहले तो बताओ कि if I balance this, now in a cell, ये हो रहा है, there's one electrode and there's another cell, and they're connected through a wire. At the hydrogen electrode, and you got an oxygen electrode, right? Hydrogen वाला जो है, that's producing electrons, so electrons are flowing away from it. जो oxygen वाला है ना, that is gaining electrons, so the electrons are coming towards you. ठीक है? ये basic operation of a hydrogen oxygen fuel cell. That there are two random reactions that are happening. एक है जहां पे वो हो रहा है, इलेक्ट्रॉन्स प्रोड्यूस हो रहे हैं, दूसरा है जहां पे इलेक्ट्रॉन्स गेन हो रहे हैं. तो जस्ट अ सेकंड. तो आपके एक्सटर्नल सर्किट में ना इलेक्ट्रॉन्स दे स्टार्ट फ्लोइंग फ्रॉम वन साइड टू द अदर साइड. तो बराबर होने चाहिए ना. अगर यहाँ पे इलेक्ट्रॉन्स प्रोड्यूस हुए, इलेक्ट्रॉन्स द सेम अमाउंट ऑफ इलेक्ट्रॉन्स मस्ट बी गेन ऑन द अदर साइड. इज दैट पॉइंट क्लियर?
Yes.
मतलब रास्ते में गायब तो नहीं. तो अगर यहाँ पे 2 इलेक्ट्रॉन्स प्रोड्यूस हुए, so on the other side, there should be 4 electrons. Electrons produced and gained, they must be equal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply this equation by 2. समझ आइए ना कि मैंने क्यों मल्टीप्लाई किया है बैलेंस करने के लिए. Is this part clear?
Yes.
अब बताओ कि एक ऑक्सीजन जो है वो कितने हाइड्रोजन साथ रिएक्ट कर रहे हैं. There's one oxygen, so there would be ये रेशियो है ना. Is this part clear as well?
Yes.
That if 2 hydrogens lose 4 electrons, then 1 oxygen will gain 4 electrons. यानी यहाँ पे 2 hydrogens होंगे, they'll lose 4 electrons, and then you'll have 1 oxygen that will gain 4 electrons on the other side. तो अब बताओ 4 moles oxygen है, तो H2 कितना होगा? 8 moles, right?
Yes. Because it's double, right?
हाँ, और इसको फिर MR से मल्टीप्लाई कर लो, so that's MR is 2. So it's going to be 16 grams. Clear है ये?
जी.
Yes.
अच्छा, हाइड्रोजन ऑक्सीजन फ्यूल सेल याद रखना, बस ये याद ही रखना है, इसमें और कोई ज्यादा साइंस नहीं है. That there's a reaction, this one which produces electrons, so there's something happening over here that produces electrons. आपकी यूपीएससी बैटरीज में भी यही होता है, 2 सेल्स होते हैं ना, तो एक साइड पे एक रिएक्शन हो रहा होता है which produces electrons, and the other side there's a reaction which consumes electrons. तो वो आप उसको कनेक्ट कर लेते हो आपकी घर की वायर के साथ. तो वो जब एक साइड से इलेक्ट्रॉन्स प्रोड्यूस होते हैं, द इलेक्ट्रॉन्स ट्रैवल थ्रू आउट योर हाउस. बीच में जो उनकी एनर्जी होती है उससे लाइट बल्ब वगैरह सब चीजें चलती हैं, फिर एंड दे कम बैक एंड देन दे गेन बाय द अदर वन. अच्छा, ये वाला ऑक्साइड्स ऑफ 2 एलिमेंट्स आर सेपरेटली डिसॉल्व्ड इन वाटर. तो बताओ इनमें से कौन सा वाला, व्हिच वन इज अ मेटल ऑक्साइड, व्हिच वन इज अ, उसका पीएच बताया, व्हिच वन इज अ मेटल ऑक्साइड, व्हिच वन इज अ नॉन मेटल ऑक्साइड. मेटल ऑक्साइड्स का क्या होता है पीएच? 1 होता है, 13 होता है. मास क्या होता है?
1 second, I'm just writing the thing about the hydrogen cell. Yes, sir. With 18?
Metal oxide, are they basic or are they acidic? We also have metal oxides जो left side वाले होते हैं, they're all basic. Metal oxides, metal hydroxides, sodium oxides, they are Non-metal oxides are all, the right side where they're all acidic. Sulfur trioxide, it will form sulfuric acid. Phosphorus oxide, it will form phosphoric acid. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes. So metal oxide are basic.
So why is the basic one, right? Why is the metal? So which one is acidic? Why is the one that's basic? तो ठीक है B होगा. Clear?
Yes, sir. Metal oxide is basic and non-metal oxide is acidic.
Your left side metal oxides in the pure table are all basic, and the right ones are all acidic. Not all of them, there are exceptions. Like aluminum oxide is amphoteric. There's some oxides which are neutral as well, like carbon monoxide is neutral. So ये यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है. ये तो खैर gases का लिखा हुआ है, लेकिन most non-metal oxides are acidic. ठीक है, is this clear?
Yes.
Yes.
अच्छा 19, an acid is neutralized by adding an excess of an insoluble solid base. A soluble salt is formed. How is the pure salt obtained? ये कौन सा method है of salt preparation? He's saying that there's an insoluble solid base. Base क्या है? Metal oxide. So one example is magnesium oxide. It's a solid. And he says that it's added to an acid. Excess में add किया. Salt क्या बनेगी? It's going to be MgCl2 plus H2O. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes.
तो salt preparation के लिए methods थे. ये कौन सा method है? इसको excess method कहते थे. So there were 2-3 reactions in which salts are produced. One is a base plus acid, the other one is a carbonate plus acid. So you could also have used magnesium carbonate plus HCl.
D, sir.
क्या हुआ?
The filtration, then evaporation and crystallization.
हाँ ठीक है. और metal plus acid भी हो सकता था, Mg plus HCl. So it would produce MgCl2 plus hydrogen gas. Remember the 3 main reactions that produce salts: carbonate, a metal, a carbonate, or a base, metal oxide, or a hydroxide. So the salt is soluble. तो आप क्या करोगे कि आप MgO को ना excess पे डालोगे. So the solution has HCl. MgO is added in excess. Excess पे डालेगा फायदा होगा कि all the HCl will react. So there'll be nothing left in the solution. वो MgO फिर भी बचा हुआ होगा. That can be easily filtered out because you've added a solid in excess. अब पीछे रह गया आपके solution में, that's just your pure salt, which is MgCl2 plus water. And that could be crystallized. So you do filtration to remove the excess MgO that you added. You evaporate and then you crystallize. ठीक है? अच्छा, J takes part in a redox reaction. It gains electrons. Which statement is correct? What happens to something that gains electrons? Oxidation or
Reduction.
ठीक है, reduction.
Reduction.
So what is it then? Oxidizing agent or reducing agent?
Oxidizing agent.
ठीक है, that one is an oxidizing agent. So J is undergoing a reduction. B होगा. चलो 21 कर लेते हैं कि J is in group 4 of the periodic table. तो सारी group 4 में. What does not occur in group 4 as it is descended? Not. Proton number of the element increases. ठीक है, they increase. The elements become more metallic. हाँ ठीक है, carbon is a non-metal. लेकिन नीचे जो है ना टिन और लेड दे आर एक्चुअली metals. Group 4 जो है ना वो middle में है कहीं. It's like metalloids. The element have more electrons in the outer shell. That is also true. नहीं sorry they have ये सही है ये गलत है. The outer shell electrons they remain the same. It's 4 electrons. They all have 4 valence electrons. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes.
So they all have 4 valence electrons. अगला question. Which statement about acids is correct? What are acids by definition? Are they proton acceptors?
No, they're proton donors.
They give off or release H plus 1 ions. Acids transfer electrons. They don't do any transfer of electrons. Hydrochloric acid reacts with ammonium hydroxide to produce ammonia. ये जो अमोनियम के साथ जो रिएक्ट करते हैं ना अमोनियम के साथ कहाँ पे रिएक्शंस अमोनियम जो है ना वो रिएक्ट करता है किसके साथ बेसिस के साथ नॉट विद एसिड्स इज दिस क्लियर
Okay.
Yes.
यानी उसका कोई रिएक्शन में लिख लेते हैं कि अमोनियम क्या करता है कि अमोनिया इटसेल्फ वो ढूंढता है हाइड्रोक्साइड्स या ऑक्साइड्स and it releases an H plus 1 it acts as an acid it turns into NH3 और फिर साथ water बन जाता है So ethanoic acid partially ionizes, it's a weak acid. Organic acids are all weak acids, right? Is that clear? Ethanoic acid में कितने
Yes.
carbons होंगे?
2.
And it's a carboxylic acid, so it's double bond O. And there are 3 H's. Which elements have both a high melting point and variable oxidation states?
Transition elements.
Transition. इनकी 5 properties थी. बाकी 3 क्या थे?
They have a high density. I think
They have a
higher density than group 1 and 2. I think it's 6 to 10.
yeah, and
They make colored compounds.
ठीक है.
Used as catalyst.
ठीक है. They also use as catalyst. ठीक है. As lithium, sodium, and potassium are elements in group 1 of the periodic table. Chlorine, bromine, iodine are elements in group 7. Which one identifies the least dense of these elements in each group? What happens to densities within a group?
I think in group 1, the density increases.
Down the group,
And,
right?
yeah. And in group 7, it decreases.
The density. उधर भी शायद increase ही करती है.
Not sure.
Group 7 में क्योंकि वो gas होता है ना, gas is less dense, right? Iodine is a solid, so density क्या होती है? It's how packed they are, right?
Yes.
So 25 इनमें से कौन? Which one is the most reactive?
R is the most reactive. P is the least reactive.
P is a
So it's a P, S, Q, R. So A.
P कौन सा?
A.
सबसे ज्यादा तो ये था ना, that's now how did you figure this out? Reaction with water is so vigorous, so that's the most reactive, right? No reaction, so that's the least reactive. ठीक है. So it's going to be A. चलिए ठीक है, ये 25 तक कर लिया हमने. रख दी क्लास में ना।
Will you do the rest for homework?
हाँ होमवर्क कर लो।
Okay.
इसमें यहाँ पर
Okay, sir.
Office.
अल्लाह हाफिज।
Okay, sir.